This video is my reaction to the Christmas Hedonites of Slaanesh unveil. So first off, it's Christmas Day, so I want to wish my listeners a Merry Christmas and a Happy Holidays. Hopefully you've been as blessed as I have been. So today we saw several new units unveiled for the upcoming Hedonites of Slaanesh. Obviously we knew many of these were coming as they were hints and kind of leaks everywhere in the preceding weeks. The new battle tome was presumably scheduled for release in January, but now is kind of an expected February release date. The release cycle in general is off track due to COVID and some trade considerations, and December's Death Guard have been pushed to fill January. Honestly, I think these are tentative dates. What we know for certain is that GW has more releases than it can possibly schedule and kind of just ship around the globe, and models are generally produced years in advance, and GW has quite a prodigious release cycle, and we could be seeing this type of impact disrupted for quite a long time. So now to the new models. So first among the unveils today are the Slickblade Seekers. These are quite beautiful models that are on new exalted steeds of Slaanesh. A little more upright than traditional Seekers, which is kind of an interesting choice. Makes them more like traditional mounted units. I'm wondering if they're maybe perhaps not quite as fast, but perhaps a little more robust. I'm guessing these are better than the existing Hellstriders, but I'm not sure. I don't quite know what their role fits in relation to those old kits. But definitely they're a melee cavalry unit in the new army. The models themselves have a lot of movement and character. It would be really interesting to see how these fit. The Slickblade Seekers appear to be a dual kit with the Blissbarb Seekers. And instead of glaives, the Blissbarb are armed with bows, making them kind of more of a skirmish unit. Again, very cool with a great look. These two releases caught many kind of off guard when they were leaked a couple weeks ago. I just don't think people were expecting more units of Seekers. Again, it really makes me think that the Hellstriders, they seem to still be in the army. I mean, they were part of the Shadow and Pain release set, but to have 4 distinctive Seeker units is a little strange. But Hellstriders are basically now the same unit, they just have 2 different weapon options, whereas in the past I think they were more kind of unique kits. Okay, so now we have a full sense of the full Slangor Fiend Bloods. Now, obviously, as a devotee of the hoofed ones, I love these models. They are amazing. And from their description, these seem to be kind of a type of berserker unit. It really describes them as being not concerned about their own safety when they're in the middle of battle. Hopefully these are truly just gross units once they get in there. Absolutely amazing. I still think that these are on probably 50mm bases, making them a little smaller than their Bulgor brothers. But quite ironically, I'm hoping that they have better rules than traditional Bulgors. And I'm justified for having a lot of these in my Hedonites army. So the last Hedonites reveal are the Blissbarb Archers. Basically the non-mounted variant. Again, these are accompanied by a bliss brew that basically poisons their arrows. Now this unit, because of that, will probably deal some sort of, mortal wound on a hit or wound roll of 6 or something like that. Again, the models are just incredibly dynamic with lots of very fluid movement, a lot of character. We are still anticipating that type of melee unit, but I doubt this is a dual kit. I think if it was a dual kit, it probably would have been unveiled today. It's not guaranteed, of course, but if you do look at like the Thralls and Reavers for the Deepkin there's precedent for keeping similar units as separate kits. Those are not dual kit, for instance. So ultimately, this army is really taking shape. It seems to strongly suggest an army of heavy skirmish and range potential, fast units, and good, if not always resilient, melee units. That's what I'm kind of anticipating. The Myrmidesh Painbringers are probably fairly heavily armored and probably can have multi-wounds, but I'm guessing these units unveiled today are a little more like typical kind of marauders, that kind of one wound type units. So the mounted ones probably have more, obviously, but I'm not anticipating these guys to have heavy armor at all, right? They're largely just in little clothes. So we'll see how this plays out. It seems to be strongly an army with kind of a heavy skirmish and range potential, fast units. That's not a surprise. And, overall, I really like this a lot. Just stunning models all around. So GW does not like to associate its models with having a direct historical aesthetic. I've listened to a lot of their podcasts in the last few weeks, and whenever there's talk of the Osiarch Bone Reapers being kind of Eastern, they really tend to push back on that and just say, look, we took aesthetic elements from a variety of different cultures. I'm mostly thinking here, right, they don't want to have any type of cultural stereotype as part of their model line. Clearly, though, that these seem to be channeling a very Eastern, Persian, Parthian vibe. Just in general, even the older Slaanesh models were definitely pushing kind of a more of an Eastern vibe. And here, I think we see it even push further with kind of mounted archers to deep purples and exotic clothing. So if we add kind of units that we already know are coming, like the Myrmidesh Painbringers and the re-release of Sigvald the Magnificent, we're honestly seeing an army that is extraordinarily fleshed out. To my knowledge, a true mortal Slaanesh line has never been rolled out, kind of beyond a few models for Slaves to Darkness in the past. Now we can see a force that can truly stand next to Blades of Khorne or the Megakin. Honestly, to think that when AOS launched, there was a lot of talk about Slaanesh disappearing altogether, and that now seems completely laughable. Some YouTubers like myself pushed back at that notion at the time, pointing to the fact that Slaanesh artwork was more common in AOS than it kind of ever was in Warhammer previously. I have a very large Slaanesh Demons army, and I've always wanted to see the mortal line fleshed out. I do not think that we could have been better rewarded for our time and dedication through the years. Okay, so it's also worth noting, though, that the old Hedonites of Slaanesh book was released in 2019, right? It's still 2020, so just last year, beginning of last year. And that book was largely based, obviously, around the release of new Slaanesh Demons. And here we have a kind of a new current impetus on the mortal faction that might be playing a larger role in the ongoing Broken Realms narrative. So regardless, a 2-year release window for a battle tome is incredibly fast. That's kind of Stormcast or Space Marine fast. Now clearly the old battle tome had some issues because it was repeatedly nerfed or weakened over the past 2 years. So you could argue that the new battle tome is an attempt to fix that book, but it is also almost certain they knew in 2019 that mortal Slaanesh models would be coming in 2021. And for me, this raises a lot of strange questions and assumptions about, whether they actually put effort into the 2019 book, knowing that it would be replaced within a relatively quick cycle. It's just really strange to have even kind of pushed ahead with that narrative then. I don't know, maybe they could have combined both, but maybe that was too large of a release in their mind or something. But in any case, we have what we have, and a new book is coming. So even these amazing reveals are not the full breadth of the Hedonites of Slaanesh. More have been teased and has long been speculated that there will be kind of a palanquin of sorts, kind of a war shrine of Slaanesh, if you will. And even the cover of the battle tome suggests that will be true. You can see kind of a large centerpiece model sitting probably on a large pile of beautiful pillows with accompanying attendants, and it's kind of carried by these strange creatures. Awesome, right? I cannot see what else is in store. I'm expecting that type of centerpiece model in addition to probably some sort of melee equivalent of the kind of Slaanesh Marauder type unit on foot. Just absolutely beautiful models. I'm really quite happy with this type of release, and generally the Slaanesh releases for the last month or so have just been incredible. So also unveiled today is the upcoming Piety and Pain box set that pits Drukari against the Sisters of Battle. The Palatine model was unveiled earlier this year, but now we know exactly how that will be released. Probably a separate kit eventually, but nice to see kind of where that plays into the whole line. Again, this box set looks cool. I don't have a whole lot to say. It seems to have some really good spread of units and a lot of utility. The Hesperix model looks good. Resculpts can seem a little strange to me. I'm in some sort of temporal bubble because in my mind the old model was fine and relatively new, even though it's probably been out for several years. Alright, so I'm looking forward to what the Hedonites army will bring. The plan is to paint a lot in 2021 and better follow the meta in my purchases and gameplay. So it's possible Hedonites of Slaanesh will be my first army project for that year. And I can't wait to see this plays out. And I was actually thinking, when I first took a stab at painting armies, I did so with my Slaanesh demons back when my channel was first launched. That was the first models I painted for Age of Sigmar. And in 2021, I'm going to rebrand myself as more of a painter and less of a hobby hoarder, which I'll be talking about in a couple videos. But it seems fitting. I was thinking going back to Beasts of Chaos, and I still might. I haven't quite made up my mind. But perhaps Hedonites of Slaanesh would be a good way to start the new year. We'll see how it plays out. In either case, beautiful models. Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you for watching. Please consider supporting the channel by commenting on the video, hitting that little like button, and subscribing for more Warhammer content.